This video is about the transit of the nodes of the moon. This essentially will support you in understanding yourself better and the kind of experiences that you will have in your life for the next 18 months, all the way up until July 2026. Now, the nodes have been transiting through the Aries Libra polarity for the previous 18 months, and they just shifted into the Pisces Virgo polarity. In this video, I will go in details into what the moon's nodes mean and represent, what it means for us on an individual and collective level, as well as the main themes, the core themes that will be characterizing this transit. Now, what's important to note is that when we look at the transits of the nodes, we look essentially at every time, at any point in time, or evolutionary intention or desire, and this is emerging relative to important karmic dynamics that needs to be addressed in order to be resolved. Yet this transit, even though it's the Pisces Virgo polarity, it will look different for each and every one of us, because it will fall in different areas of our birth chart, addressing different areas of life. And it will also look differently if it impacts, influence any of your natal planets. This is why astrology is always felt so differently with every individual. There is always a collective theme, but also it lands differently on the individual level. Essentially, knowing where the nodes are moving will allow you to understand your experiences more deeply, with more perspective, understand how to work with what you're experiencing in two ways. In one way, understanding what is to be worked with, processed, released, let go of, and what is to be moved towards, to intentionally discovered, uncovered, and explored. At any moment in time, we are all experiencing a conflict between who we were and who we are becoming, between the past and the future, between security and the unknown. This is this core dynamic that the nodes are representing for us. The lunar nodes are points in space that are created at the intersection of the moon's orbital path and the ecliptic. They travel backwards, meaning they start at 29 degrees of each sign and travel all the way back to 0 degrees. Now, both the south node and the north node carry distinct energies. So when we look at the south node, we look at the energies of completion and ending and resolution relative to the past and what has been. It is usually felt through realizing and understanding what has been limiting, what is outdated, and what is to be processed, worked with in order to be released and let go of, in order to make space for what is more aligned. When we look at the north node, we look at the energies of new desires, new beginning relative to a future direction and what is to come. It is felt through exploring the uncharted, the unknown. It is actually to be explored in order to be understood. Now, it's important to know that the idea is not to leave the south node behind and to only embrace the north node, because both those energies are always at play simultaneously. They weave into each other. Now, if you want to go more in depth into this transit, I invite you to look into the rulers of each archetype in your natal chart in order to gain more specific information and understanding in terms of really how this transit is going to play out for you. So for instance, for the Virgo Pisces axis, you will look at Mercury, who's the traditional ruler of Virgo, and Neptune, who's the traditional ruler of Pisces. Where they are in your chart, depending on sign and house, will provide those informations for you. Now, just to briefly come back in time and to summarize what's been playing out with the Libra Aries polarity, so for the previous 18 months transit. So as the south node has been moving through the archetype of Libra, any patterns of codependency and unhealthy, unsupportive attachment style in relationship that we're not aligning with our inherent sense of truth and passion and freedom and independence in this life have been really highlighted in order to be worked with. Simultaneously, a new sense of path and destiny has begun to be felt within our individual depths as the North Node moved in Aries, asking us to learn how to be selfish and make decisive choices by following where we are truly desiring to go. A sense of, this is my life, this is what I want, and I will not compromise anymore. Those new instinctual desires have needed to be expressed within the context of relationship, highlighting even furthermore where one is suppressing one's own voice and truth in order to keep the peace within the relating. Ultimately, when we look at the Aries Libra polarity, the big lesson here is to find a balance between self and others through finding the freedom to be ourselves in relationships. So we have this new emerging path, destiny, sense of independence and freedom, and this is who I am, this is what I'm instinctually drawn to do. I see really the shift of the nodes into the Pisces Virgo polarity as the necessary need to work with any unconscious and deeper self-limiting patterns and behavior that is really preventing us to fully step into this new path and destiny. There is a strong element of surrender and need to realign, to readjust, that is not only for the individual, but also really for the service of the collective and the evolution. The nodes of the moon moving through the Pisces Virgo polarity are bringing focus upon the areas of health and healing, service and work, daily rituals and routines, control and perfectionism, grace and creativity, mind, body, spirit alignment, and our connection to the divine. This is really likely to bring up some level of crisis and need to readjust our lives on the deepest, most profound levels. Now I will go more in details into the 4 themes that I really see are characteristic of this transit. The first one is the emphasis on health and wellness. There is now a need with this transit to detoxify, to purify, to perfect our physical vessel in order to prepare for the ways consciousness wants to move through us in order to express, to create, and to evolve. More than ever, we are being asked to hold more energies, higher frequencies. Truly, our vessel is the way the divine and consciousness is to move through us. And this happens energetically. The world of health and healing will see new types of services, of protocols, of practices that will really highlight how can we address the energy first, really based on the understanding that energy creates matter, and that true health, true state of vibrancy and aliveness is based upon addressing the root cause, meaning addressing the energetic body, the emotional body, the spiritual body, before the physical, understanding that the physical body is a byproduct of energetic alignment. So during this transit, you may be called to look at your health and your immune system in a new way. You may have certain issues coming back on the surface, issues that you've been having before, or new kind of issues, because they need to be addressed in a new way. So it's not only approaching your body in a new way, but really approaching your health, your lifestyle, and how do you relate to yourself. This will really provide strong opportunities to deep healing and regain sense of vitality and aliveness. The second theme is cultivating healthy routines and rituals to gain a sense of energy mastery. our level of energetic sensitivity, extrasensorial capabilities, intuition, and connection to subtle realms is called to be highly magnified and heightened. So we will need really to perfect our form, to take care of our bodies in order to hold those new level of energetic sensitivities. But this will be anchored and enhanced through the strengthening of our daily habits, routines, rituals, structures, maintenance of ourselves. As our energetic capabilities open more and more, there is, and there will be increasingly so, a strong need for grounding. Any grounding practices, including embodiment, exercise, movement, time in nature, dance, to anchor back in the physical. When we look at Pisces, Virgo, this is really balancing the form and the formless, the structure, the rituals, and the surrender. The more you open, the more you start to feel and increase really this level of sensitivity, the more grounding practices you will need in your life. Overall, this will lead to a greater sense of not only self-respect, but understanding your own energetic needs and boundaries. This is why I talk about energy mastery, self-respect, a regained sense of a stronger commitment to yourself to do what it takes for you to take care of your form in order to do what you're here to do. Now, the third theme is the practice of discernment over what we can control and what we can't control. Where do we need to put more effort, to apply necessary effort and do the necessary work? And where are we being asked to lean back, let go, and trust? The essence of the Virgo archetype is this strive to perfect and improve. And when we look at Pisces, this archetype really teaches us to trust, to surrender. In the current world context, many souls now want to step into their path, their career, their purpose, their mission, their calling. This transit will highlight whatever is still holding us back. And this includes specifically, not limited to, any patterns of mental self-analysis, procrastination, or perfectionism. Maybe you're feeling like you're not enough and you're always focusing on the need to improve, always focusing on what you're not, and therefore never really fully stepping in, never feeling ready. The other way this can play out is a sense of neglect of necessary details regarding your skills, your techniques, your practices, your services. And so there is a need to really to put in some level of work to address certain necessary details for you to step into the next phase of your path, your work, your service. Ultimately, we're being asked to dance between aspects of humility, confidence, devotion, and surrender in order to find the right balance, the right perspective, the right direction. What really matters when we look at the Virgo archetype is that we're here to do what we're here to do. We need to take those actions. We need to take the next step. The purification of the Virgo archetype happens through intentional, devotional action step, one after the next. The fourth and final theme is to really be aware that this transit can bring a major crisis related to meaning by highlighting where we've been projecting meaning upon something that is actually not meaningful to us. This will bring up deep and profound questioning and reflecting, experiences of disillusionment and emptiness, a sense of overwhelm, losing control, and even potential depression. Yet the key here is really to realize that we all have a purpose, we all have a key role to play, and that only by finding our place and contribution in the world, we will find actually fulfillment and real meaning with a capital M. This is really about reconciling our relationship to meaning, to purpose, to what it is to live, to love, and to serve. This is about realizing, embodying, expressing that it's not just about doing empty work. It's not just about perfecting the form and perfecting the body. The form in itself has no meaning. It's empty. Truly, the form will find its function when it becomes the vessel for meaning, when it has meaningful content. This transit will be challenging in many regards and may really bring up certain experiences in our life that forces us to bow and to surrender in order to strengthen our ability to trust. This transit is about letting go of whatever has not been serving us in order to find our contribution, to step into our purpose and to step into our path. Thank you for watching. I hope that was helpful, and I will see you in the next video.